Hello again everyone, Ken from Whittling Woods back again with another whittling wood carving tutorial. As you saw from the short introduction, we're going to do a little, it's a mountain lion, one of the big cats, I guess you'd call it. One of my viewers who was very generous and kind enough to donate a little money to the Whittling Woods channel suggested I do a cat. They were watching the wolf bust video that I did a few weeks back. Check it out if you're interested. I'll have a link, somewhere up here. That suggested I do a big cat. I mentioned in the video too that you could take this in different directions and potentially a cat. And so I thought a mountain lion would be an interesting little whittle to do. So we're going to use this piece of eastern white pine. And I'm going to go through the measurements. If I neglect to do this in past videos, please excuse me, but I just wanted to make sure everyone spent a little time here to go through the measurements in case you want to follow along here. This is a piece of eastern white pine. It's 4 inches, and the only reason it's 4 inches is because we're just going to give ourselves a little room. We're going to cut it here at the halfway mark, or you can actually do 2 whittles in it if you so choose. It's 1 3/4 inches wide, 4 inches long, 1 3/16. One, give or take, if you have 1/8, whatever, that should be fine as well. But this happens to be 1 3/16. So there's the dimensions of the piece of wood initially here: 4/4, 1 3/4, 1 3/16. All right, and then we'll go over the measurements that we're going to use in the whittle. We're going to do it in the first 2 inches, as you can see here, and then we're going to mark lines on the top here. We're going to come in about 1/4 inch and mark a line, come in about 3/4 inch and mark a line. This is going to be the area where his ears are, and this will be the slope of the back of the head. Then we're going to come down on the back side. This is the front, this is the back. We're going to come down along the back side, mark down 3/4 inch, and draw a line there. Connect those 2 lines, the 1/4 inch and the 3/4 inch. Just connect that right there. On this side, we're going to come down 1/2 inch. This is going to be the slope from his ears and eye area to the top of his snout. So we're going to come down 1/2 inch for that. So again, 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, draw a diagonal line connecting those 2. Then we're going to come down for the bottom of the snout, 1 1/4 inch. So you can just see that. So you can imagine the snout's going to be here. It's going to have some eyes, ears in the back of the head, and this will come in, and we'll kind of curve this around. You can see. I'll have a picture up over here. You can see from the profile in the front view what it looks like, so you can see what we're aiming for. But I'm just going to leave this here for a minute so you can take some time to write those measurements down. There you go. That's pretty much all we're going to need for this little whittle. And we're going to be using these 2 knives here. You can probably get away with 1 medium-sized knife. I happen to have my Black Bart special here, one of my viewers who made this knife and sent it my way. And I've been using it quite a bit. I'm really falling in love with it. It's a great knife. It's for bulk removal, and you even get some decent detail work in there with it. We're going to supplement some of the finer detail work with this little North Bay Forge knife that I have. So there you go. But a medium knife should be fine. If that's all you have, feel free just to use that. You don't have to use the 2 knives. But if you have a larger knife and a smaller knife, there you go. So I'm going to get everything set up, and I will be right back. Okay, we're all set up here. I also forgot to mention, draw your center lines down each plane. You can see how I did that, and even across the top as well. All right, just gives you some guidelines for the center. What we'll do is we'll start taking the top back a little bit here. So all I'm going to do is basically take this back. So, and then I'm going to come back in. I'm going to do the same thing on the back. So basically, we're going to have the piece shaped like that. So that's all I'm going to do. Nothing too big. I will finish that up, and I'll be right back. Okay, there you go. Just real easy. And we're going to come in here. Oh, also, just so you know, I kind of rounded the corners on the bottom where I'm holding. Just makes it a little more comfortable to hold. So if you see that, that's all I did. Just you know, it makes it a little bit more comfortable to hold. And then we're going to come in here. We'll start establishing where the bottom of his mouth and jaw and snout will be. So I'm just going to kind of come in here, make a stop cut underneath there. We're basically just roughing out, defining some planes here. That's all we're doing. If you've watched any of my videos before, the way I like to think of whittling is just defining different planes, and that's really all you're doing. You're just shaping the wood, different planes of the wood to create the figure you're after. So let me see how I'm doing that over here. That's all. I did the wolf head video. That actually was pretty decent. Did pretty well, that video, I enjoy doing it. It was fun to do. I did it in a piece of, I believe that was a piece of butternut I did it in. Right, because I did a bear bust a while back as well, and I did that in a piece of walnut. So now we're doing eastern white pine. What I try to do is find a wood that mimics the look of the animal itself. But so we're going to do a little bit of painting on this one, not the whole piece, just some defining. You can see from the picture up over here. You can see what it we're going to paint the snout, the snout area a little bit, and so here I'm bringing in the snout a little bit. So I'm just kind of coming along each side here and just angling it in just a bit here. All right, so just keep coming in with that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I think I'm going to start establishing the plane of where the ears are going to be. So I'm going to come just kind of behind. Well, let's bring this back a little bit more here. So I'm going to come just probably a little bit past the halfway mark or so, give or take. And I'm just going to put a little cut in the side over there, and just kind of cut into it like that. Eventually these are going to be the ears over here. And then we'll do the same thing on this side over here. Just a little cut. You can kind of see we're just shaping it. Be careful when you're making those cuts. You'll slice the ear off if you're not too careful. And we're gonna, they're gonna be slightly rounded, these ears anyway. But that's what we're doing here. You can kind of see from the side, right? And then we can kind of continue it around just a little bit here, because obviously we're going to want the ears themselves, as you see from the picture, they're going to sit a little bit, obviously on top of the head. So we're going to kind of define the head like that. So there you go. You can kind of see where we're at here. And what we're doing here is leaving just a little bit of area in here, because we're going to want the eyes. The eyes on the wolf kind of angled back a little bit. On the cats and mountain lions are a little more saucer shaped, and they don't angle back quite as much. It's a little bit more forward. So we're going to, kind of work that into it. And the snout itself isn't quite as long and narrow as well. So anyway, get yourself to that point and we should be good. I'm just going to hone up the knife a little bit, and when I finish with that, I'll be right back. That's where we're at so far. So if you're following along, get yourself to that point. Next thing we're going to do is start to shape the snout itself. What we want is the bottom part to kind of come to a bit of a point where his lower jowl comes in. So what we're going to start doing is taking this back just a little bit on either side. And we're going to work our way to it. We're not going to do it all at once, you know. But we're going to start moving in that direction. We're going to bring this bottom part up a little bit higher. Okay, eventually it's going to come up even higher. And then what we're going to start to do is round the top as well. So we're going to come in here along the sides, and we want to leave a little wood in this area over here because we want to create the kind of the I don't know, they're sort of puffy. The cats have like a bit of a ball here, and then on the bottom, and their nose. So you've got everything kind of coming together in this area. So what we're going to do is just, and again, you can reference the image over here, and you can see what I'm referring to. So we're going to come around in here. Again, keeping in mind where the eyes are going to be. So what I do is I come in here and I kind of roll my knife up a bit, like so. And I'm going to come around the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing. Kind of see where I'm heading in that direction, and then we'll start to take up the center a little. I think we can push that back just a little bit further. I'm trying to take this step by step, nice and slow, for people who are interested in following along. You know, if you're not following along, feel free to hit the YouTube. You can increase the speed. You might hear me. I might sound a little funny, but you know, feel free to do that as well. So that's where we're heading here. Again, we're going to eventually form the eyes in here. So next thing I'm going to do here is start to curve this in. I want to take this area of the snout, and I want to make it kind of, I want the head itself to be more prominent. The snout should come in just a little bit. So I'm going to continue that rolling of my knife on that side. I don't want to remove too much wood from the front over here. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just roll my knife. Now the thing is, when you look at the cats, and I guess maybe all cats are like this, but I noticed with the pictures I've seen of mountain lions and whatever, if you look at it from the top, and that the end of the nose or snout is kind of wider. It's wider here than it is as it comes into the skull itself. So it's wider in this area up here than it is. So that's what we're kind of doing. We're sort of rolling our knife around over here. I keep looking at it from both sides to make sure I'm fairly symmetric. And I got to take more over here, I think. So we're just rolling it around, creating a nice subtle curve around on both sides. And then we can kind of continue over here as well, underneath, bringing that up, bringing that up, and then continue rolling it around. And kind of see where I'm heading here. All right. And we'll push the eye area back a little bit. There you go. Give you a look at that. What we want to do here is start thinking about the end of the snout itself, where his mouth comes together, and what we can do here is we can start forming a bit of a line for where his mouth opens. So I'm going to kind of come in here at a bit of an angle, as you can kind of see. Let me just make sure I got this fairly symmetrical. I think I do. Just round it out. I'm looking at the center line over here. There's just a little bit more wood on this side, so let's bring that back just a little bit. So what we want to do is kind of come in here at a bit of an angle up to our midpoint. You know what? Let me kind of draw a line in there. Maybe this will make it easier for people. So here's the midpoint. We're going to have the nose kind of come in here at a bit of an angle. And it's going to wrap up and around, and then the mouth will come down over here and kind of go out like that, sort of like that. I know it looks a little screwy right now, but you know, let's just slowly work it and see what happens. So I'm going to come in here, and again, always refer to the reference picture over there. That'll be of some help. And just kind of take out a little wood over here. If you watch the wolf video, you know we went all the way back, but cats really don't have that same kind of mouth and lower jaws as a dog has. Same kind of thing. We took 2 little notches out over here, and here, like so. And then we're going to kind of start to angle these down a little bit. There you go, from the side. What I like to do is come up under here, take this up just a little bit more. I want the end of the lower jowl to be slightly down further than the rest. So that's the start of how I handle the mouth. All right, then I start rounding. What I do is I'll come in here and start to define where the nose will be. So I kind of come up here, almost the same thing we did down over here, and I just kind of cut up to that. Same thing on this side. All right, you kind of see how that goes. And then, well, you know, like I said, we're not done here. There's a lot more refining to do. And we'll probably, you know, use a slightly smaller knife to do some of that. Getting rid of some of my lines I just drew. And we're going to separate this in here. Just this little wood. What we're going to want is to have, it's probably going to be easier with a slightly smaller knife. These 2 areas here to kind of round about, to kind of form little kind of like, you know, when a cat standing there, they're kind of little puffy ends, I guess. There you go. All right. So let's, like I said, continue to round this out, and then I'll eventually, I'm going to switch to a smaller knife, but I'm just kind of getting this ready to go here. I want to leave a little bit of wood because I like the ears, the top of the ears, to kind of wrap over a bit more. So, but what I want to do here is start to separate these a little bit more. So I'm going to come in here and carefully start to notch some of the wood out to separate the ears. You can kind of see how that is over there. And I'll do the same thing on this side. You know, just kind of come in here, and I'll start playing with it to separate and define the ears just a bit more. So you kind of see we're beginning to form the ears. We're going to separate those quite a bit more. So even in the front, we're going to have to start kind of coming in here and notching out some wood. There you go. That's where we're at so far. Okay, switch it over to the smaller knife. We can start working on the nose a little bit more, or the snout. So I'm just going to bring back the top just a little bit more, angle this in a little bit. And start to round it off a bit on the top. And here we're going to come in, start continuing what we've been doing, rounding it out. So there you go from the side. And then we can kind of come in here, and I'm sure there's a name for the little cheek areas over here that cats have, but you know, I don't know what it's called, if it even is called anything. But I just like to kind of round that out a bit. If there are cat experts out there watching this, let me know what these little puffy areas on the end of their little snouts are called. And then for the mouth, we can kind of start to flatten that out a bit more. So I'm going to just come in here, angle it, and then kind of at the top here, I want to just flatten it out just a bit. You kind of see what I'm talking about. For the lower part of the jaw, I like to create a bit of a point. Kind of like so on both sides. I just kind of taper it back a little bit. You can kind of see from the side over here. Got a bit of a prominent point right here, and I just want to kind of scoop the wood out from underneath that. There you go. Kind of see from the front. Like so. And then let's continue rounding this out on both sides. So there's where we're at. For the nose here, I'm going to bring this back just a little bit more on both sides. And take these up on both sides. Like so. And I think angle this in just a little bit. There's a lot of, all these planes come together at this point over here. You have the nose plane, the lower jaw, and then the little cheek area over here. Now, I'm going to refer to those as little cheeks, whatever they are. So all that's kind of coming together to make that cat look over there. But I think what I'm going to do is make the nose just a little bit more, a little smaller. I don't think they're that quite this big. All right. And just kind of taper it. And then I'm going to start to work on where the eyes are going to be. Okay. Now it's always hit or miss when you're dealing with wood like this and how much detail you're going to get. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw in the eye area, and then we'll see if we can whittle the indication of a little eye. Now, and I'll show you. I'll just draw it in and show you that if you want, you can probably keep it like that. But we'll whittle them in as well, and You can see what that looks like, because so you can kind of see it both ways. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at this point. I'll pencil in the eye area, and I'll be right back. I just thought I'd kind of show you this. Looks a little silly right now. What I do is I kind of put a dot first, and then I shape the upper arc and on both sides, and then the lower arc. And sorry, I had the fan on in the background there. I just shut it off. It's a little loud. We're having some warm days now, so I had the fan running. Anyway, what I do is I come in on the we'll start with this eye. I kind of come in on my line. You might want to angle the knife blade in towards the eyeball itself just a little bit, and you're going to basically put you're forming like a little curved stop cut in here. It doesn't have to be very deep, and that's it. That's all you're going to do, and then you're going to kind of come back and remove some wood up to that stop cut. If you can kind of see that. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side, or the bottom side, excuse me. What I do is I come in here on the bottom, again, angling the knife slowly like that, and then I'll come back and I'll remove some of that wood from the inside part. So basically, you have right now kind of like a bit of a elongated circle, and then I kind of come in and I start to clip the edge. I deepen it in here and over here in that corner, and then I just remove the wood, that little section of wood, so it kind of deepens that end of the eye and rounds it out a little bit more. I know it's kind of hard to see, and then you got to go back and you'll clean this up a little bit and refine it a little bit more. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I put two little relieving cuts there, and I come back in here and I put a little stop cut, or excuse me, I take it to a little bit of wood. All right. And then it's a matter of just refining it to your liking. I like to take the bottom in just a little bit, like so, or I should say, pull it down just a little bit, like so. I just kind of come around there on the bottom, just to kind of set it back a little bit. And it's actually, it's kind of, I know, difficult probably to see, and I'm doing it, because I'm doing it under the camera. I'm holding it at a kind of odd angles here than I normally would, but it's kind of where we're at. And then I'm probably going to have to come back in here and remove some of that pencil line that I put in. And I kind of bring the upper area a little bit out, like so. Kind of coming to a bit of a point over here. Can you see that? And I might go a little bit further up, I think. Just like so. And then I'm just going to come in here, and obviously I have to remove those pencil lines, so I'm just going to clean those up a bit. Okay, I just cleaned up the pencil marks, and what I typically do is I come in here with a pencil and I just reinforce the lines in here and kind of come in by pencil and go along, and then I'll actually put a little iris in there. And if you want, once you darken this, what you can kind of come back and do is just nip off, let me just clean that off, just nip off the end a little bit, and it kind of makes it look like it's got a little light. You know, maybe I did too much on that, but you know, you kind of get the impression. That's what I do. If you look at the mountain lion, they sort of have a darker fur around their eyes, so it kind of gives that look. So there you go. And then we'll do the same thing on this side here. I'm just going to, like we did over here, I'll come around carefully. And then come back. You can do it this way or this way. Come back and just remove that little bit of, you know, a little bit of wood. You don't have to do it all in one shot. If you want to come back and take your time and do it carefully, you can do that as well. You know, I know a lot of people doing eyes is always a kind of not a fun thing to do, or it's. And you know, sometimes they are. Sometimes they can be kind of annoying to do, and you know, you feel like, oh geez, I just messed up the whole piece. But you know, again, don't worry about it. And then come in here and same thing. Come from the bottom. Just keep your knife and your thumb kind of secure, so you're holding on to something, and you're not, you know, you're moving the knife slowly and controlled. And then just complete your line like that. Flip it around. And then you went angled inward towards the eyeball. Now you're going towards the line you just made. So if you come back over here, you can kind of come around and you just follow along the line you just made. And you can see that little piece of wood coming out. I don't know if you can see that. That's what you want. So you've basically just defined the eye bit. And then, like I said, we come back in here in the corners. And we just round out the eye a bit by taking out that little notch of wood. Kind of like so. And then the same thing over here. We're going to come in here, deepen that a little bit, deepen that a little bit, and then there's that little notch of wood you just want to kind of take out. Remove. And it kind of rounds off the eye. I know it's probably very difficult to see like this, but it's there. And then what I do is I come back and I start to just increase the bottom, cut a little deeper. So it makes the eye look a little bit more inset. And then what I keep doing is I'll just refine it a little bit, you know. And I'll just kind of come back in here and I'll just look at the eye, and maybe I have to come back and round it a little bit more. So I just take small little cuts. I don't try to do it all in one shot, you know. None of us are, well, there's a couple whittlers out there that I know that do this in one shot, and they're very good at they've been doing it a long time, and they can do it pretty cleanly right off the get-go. So, but take your time, and if you don't like doing it, you know, don't feel like you have to whittle everything in. If you want, just draw pencil lines in. And I find that if you draw a pencil line in, and then you paint over it, it actually seals the pencil line in, and you can create that darkness. Okay, I think now what I want to do is start refining the cheeks just a little bit here. I'm going to kind of bring them more to a point as they come in. So this kind of like forming a bit of a triangle aiming inward over here. The other thing we can do, let's come back with the larger knife and start bringing this in a little bit more. And rounding it up. So all I'm doing is I'm coming in, you can kind of see from the side here, just coming in here and bringing it up. What I want to do is narrow this the you know, the, which I guess would be technically the neck. I want to narrow that down just a bit. I'm just going to kind of come in here and start removing some of the wood, clean up some of those pencil lines. And if you did watch the wolf video, you know we kind of whittled in a bit of fur. We're not going to do that with this one because they're, you know, they're cats. Their fur is sleek, and we don't have to worry about that. Not that you ever worry about anything when you're whittling, but we don't have to do that in this one. I'm going to start bringing in this area just a bit more, just as the head or the snout comes into the body. I just want to kind of thin it just a bit more. Bring it up in there a little bit. Okay. Let's kind of work on the ears now. So what we want to do is we want to let's bring them a bit to a point, kind of like they're going to wind up looking. We're going to remove this section over here where my finger is, and kind of have it over here. So I'm just going to kind of bring this area down just a bit more. Again, like I said, end grain, so if you're doing this and following along, you know, take your time and just, because it can be a bit difficult sometimes to cut through cleanly, and you don't want to mess up your ear. So sometimes it's just these little nibbling cuts that you take. As you can see what I'm doing here, I'm just kind of not cutting down right away. I'm just taking smaller cuts just to refine it a little bit more. And then again, we're going to want to bring this to kind of a point. So that's our goal. Kind of see it's already looking more like a cat ear on this side as we begin to point it up a little bit. Getting a little bit more like a cat. I start continuing around the head and go around where I just did the eyes and just, like I said, keep rounding it. we're going to see about finishing up these ears. All I do is I get the ears maybe angled slightly, kind of forward a little bit, I guess, you know, to some extent. Doesn't have to be. When I say angled, the kind of the tip, you know, angled a little bit inward, as you can see, or forward, as you can see from that angle there. And then I start to just round over the top a little bit. Just kind of come up from the back, taper it in. Okay. For the ears, once we get them to a point where we're happy with the overall look, I just want to round out the tips just a bit, not completely. I'm going to still have them look like cat ears. So you just come in here and right in the middle, put a stop cut like that, and then you can do one on the bottom and take out that little triangle of wood, and then turn it over, put one on the bottom there, and take out that little triangle of wood. So it just creates a little inset in the ear there. That's all. Kind of like that. All right, we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, the other thing I like to do is I come in here, and you can see in this area over here, what I want to do is round that out a little bit more as well. So I kind of come in here with my knife, and I just round it in a little bit more, just like so. You can kind of see it from that angle maybe a little bit better. And the same thing on this side, just kind of round it in. That's really about it. I think I can probably take the back in just a little bit more. And I got to do the other ear, just realized, but it's really about it. I'm just going around and looking for little refinement, you know, making those final refinements. So I'm not, you know, this is at this point, like I said, it's all about trying to go around. The goal here is, as I mentioned, with this type of whittle here, with this the cat here, it's to kind of keep things as a little bit more on the round side than we did with the wolf. What I want to do here is bring back the nose, I think, a bit more. I think it's sticking out just a bit too much. So what I'm going to do here is bring that back in a little bit, and probably I'm thinking I'm going to taper this on both sides, and then probably I'm guessing probably come down here just a bit more. And then switch to the smaller knife here. I'm just going to do a little cleanup here and there, but actually finish this other ear. You saw how I did that one, so it's no big deal. And when I'm done, I'll be right back. Okay, I just kind of went back and refined things a little bit. As I was looking at it, I realized that the corners of the eyes seemed to be, they were angling down a little bit too much. So all I did is I kind of come back in here and I lengthen that, and I come back over here and I just notch it out a little bit, just to kind of bring that corner of the eye up a little bit. The other thing I noticed that I wasn't too happy with was the little cheek area over here. They were too round, and I wanted to bring them down just a little bit. So what I did was I started just taking off some of the area above, just to save it. A lot of this is going to be by feel. As you can see, I think it looks better when it's kind of angled downward, just slightly. They were a little bit too round, and you kind of grab yourself some reference photos and take a look. The other thing I did was I come in here and I do a little scooping cuts on either side. What I want to do is kind of round out the head in this area, have it come down. So there's a bit of a bulge in this area. You can kind of see it, kind of the muscles that I guess work the neck and the jaw, on both sides. I wanted to accentuate that, so I came back, and then I came back up the back here a little bit, and I created more of an S curve, like I mentioned before, kind of come down and around, a little bit more of a curve in the back there. I marked the line here. This is where we're going to cut it, so you know. And that's really about it. I really, at this point, it's pretty much done. What I do is I come in here, and you can kind of see a little bit of a mark in here. I kind of come in here, and I take my pencil, and I just, if you look at pictures of, well, at least the mountain lions, you can kind of see they're kind of have a dark area, and it's the nostril area too. I kind of come in here and enhance it with my pencil. You could do this with paint as well, but actually once you do this, and then I kind of bring that shape around a little bit on both sides. That's all, not too much. Oops, I'm a little out of view there, sorry. And then since I redid the eyes, I'm going to have to come back in here. And again, look at reference photos of mountain lions, and you see they have these darker areas around their eyes. I just kind of come in here and I accentuate that a little bit, bring it down over here. Kind of like so. Well, there you go. The Whittle's all done. I just wanted to give you a look at it. I painted the little cheek areas white, and there's the pencil marks you can see around the eyes. The eyes I painted a little bit yellow, and the pencil marks stand. It's oiled up, so it locks the pencil marks in. And then I whittled these tiny little pieces of wood to create these little whiskers. No, I'm teasing. They're not wood. They're actually little plastic bristles from a brush. Right here, I just chopped off 6 bristles or so, and stuck them in place. Heated them up with the heat gun just to warp them a bit, just to give it that look. You can't have a cat without whiskers. So it was a fun little thing to do. You could have more if you wanted to, but I had a lot of fun doing it. It was a suggestion of a viewer of mine who was kind enough to donate money to the Whittling Woods channel. Thumbs up, very much appreciate it. And it was an interesting, fun little whittle to do. You can obviously make a lot of different types of cats with the same basic premise, but I had a lot of fun doing it, and I hope you give it a shot. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great whittling week. Take care.